About 5 months after I moved to Raleigh, my roommate planned to move to Haiti to work at an orphanage, which was beautiful and admirable, kind of financially devastating for me. Suddenly, I couldn't afford the rent. So I did what most of us do when life shifts unexpectedly. I reached out. I called a friend I had met the year before and said, "Hey, does anyone have a room or a couch or a closet? I'm not really picky. I just need somewhere to live." As it turns out, they had bunk beds in their living room that I could crash on. What I didn't know at the time was that I wasn't just moving into a house. I was moving into the one of the most transformative years and seasons of my life. There were three other women living there, all post college, all figuring life out. Now, if you've ever lived with a group of women, you might expect a little bit of drama, a little bit of cattiness, a little bit of emotional weather systems rolling through the kitchen on a nonstop basis. But this house was different. And it wasn't different by accident. It was different on purpose. They shared food, they shared chores, they shared prayers, they shared lives. They were intentional about how they lived together. And over the years, the address changed, the house changed, the roommates rotated in and out, but the culture of the household, the intentionality, it stayed the same. At one point, there were 7 of us living in a 3-story townhouse. Yes, 7 women, one house. You heard me right. It sounds chaotic, and sometimes it was. It was a little bit loud or a lot going on, but it was one of the most joyful seasons I've ever experienced. Because what held that house together wasn't personality and organization. It was purpose. We were women who weren't perfect, but we loved each other. We challenged each other. We called each other to a higher standard. One weekend, part of my household joined ladies from another household, and we went to the mountains for a weekend just to get away, just enjoy each other's company. There's a photo from this trip that I still think about. It's morning time. We had made a big breakfast, bacon, eggs, pancakes, the works. We were gathered around this table tucked into the corner of the household, and someone had just cracked a joke. A few women are mid-laugh, covering their faces or head in their hands. One of them is leaning back, like fully committed to the punchline. There's plates on the table of half-eaten food, coffee cups and water bottles are everywhere. But every single woman at that table, she looks completely at ease. Secure, present, known. It's strange. Sometimes I look at this photo and I feel jealous. Jealous of a moment that I was actually in. Because when you're inside a moment like that, you don't always realize how sacred it is. Years have passed since that breakfast table. Most of those women, they're married. Many have children, they're wives, mothers, leaders, pillars in their community. Absolute rock stars. They don't always feel like rock stars. I've had enough late night phone calls to know that. Life, it still has its ups and downs. But they're strong, they're grounded, intentional. And here's what strikes me when I look back at that photo. Not one of us was sitting around waiting for our real life to begin. No one was saying, "I'll grow when I get married," or "I'll develop character when I have kids. Things will settle down in life later." We were all building foundations long before we knew what would be built on top of them. We were learning how to communicate, how to forgive, how to live generously, how to be disciplined, how to pray for someone when they were struggling, and how to celebrate someone else's win without comparison creeping in. We were practicing the kind of people we hoped to become. And that's the lesson. Life does not begin when you reach the next milestone. It doesn't begin when you get the job or the spouse or the house or the clarity that you're hoping for. You are becoming someone right now. The question is, who? There's this temptation to treat seasons as waiting rooms. This idea of, this is temporary, this doesn't really count. But what if this season is actually training for the next one? What if the friendships you're building now are shaping the spouse you'll be? What if the discipline you're practicing now is shaping the leader you'll be in the next season of life? What if the way you show up at the table today is shaping the legacy you'll leave tomorrow? When I look at that breakfast photo, I see joy, but I also see construction. I see God building something in those women years before they would ever fully see it themselves. And here's the beautiful part. We were deeply content in that season. We weren't rushing it. We weren't resenting it. We were enjoying it. You can fully enjoy where you are, even if where you're headed looks different. So wherever you are today, in your teens, your 20s, your 40s, your 80s, this is not just a placeholder season. I hope you find a table like that breakfast table. It may not be 7 women in a townhouse. It might be 2 friends in a small apartment. It might be your family, your coworkers, or your neighbors. But I hope you find a table where you can be fully known, where you can laugh with your mouth open, where you can be challenged, where you can build something invisible that one day will become visible. And one day, you'll look back at that photo, literally or mentally, and realize we weren't just eating breakfast. We were becoming. We were becoming the people we would become. So I'll leave you with this. Who do you want to be 10 years from now? And what kind of table do you need to sit at today to become that person?